So here's the thing about animal pens. They are gigantic and they're very hard to place and extremely easy to raid. And you can't lock them, so people can just waltz up to them and take all your stuff, so you gotta be smart about where to put them. In this video I'm going to show you 5 tips slash locations about, you know, where to put them. Anyways, let's go!
And subscribe!
Here is the first one. It's over by the dam. That little tower here, or big tower, it's a very tiny entrance here that can be very easily blocked off. And it's space to put animal pens in here. You gotta have foundations on the floor first though, because the ground is too uneven without the foundations being here. So I'm putting them in here so that it will be, you know, even with the top of those stairs and stuff. You gotta have those, and you don't need to use tier 3 for that. You could just do regular foundations, because there's no real reason in having those be super, you know, good foundations, because you're not going to be able to lock your animal pen anyways. But this part here should be locked, obviously, and this is your defense, so you can have 3 doors or 4 doors or something to make it so that it's harder to get in, but it doesn't really cost you a lot of resources to block off this little door. So there's actually very few caves that are big enough to have an animal pen in it. So, you know, this is one. So, that was number 1. And this is number 2. This one is here in the lava. Over here, there's a giant area here with a lot of lava, right? So, what you do is basically, you'd probably use sandstone, but you'll build over to the middle of the lava. So, then you can place your animal pen, and it will be reasonably safe from other people, because other people can't build a bridge like that. And you can just build a bridge and then destroy the bridge after you know, but since the land is claimed, other people won't be able to do that. But, you know, I don't know if it's really safe. I don't know, there might be some ways people can get to it, but at least it's safer than other things. This is probably kind of an exploit, so this might be changed. I don't know. Number 3 is very close to the green wall, and doesn't really matter where you are, but this is, you know, one example of a place close to the green wall that you can build on. It's in the north by a cliff in the jungle. So part of what makes this work is that when you're building by the green wall, you only need to use, you know, half the resources. So that's why it's so great. Be very careful where you put your foundations and stuff though, because it has to be like exact. Because if you have it angled a little wrong, then you won't be able to cover your pen completely. You can see here that this failed, right? Because there's a little gap here, and you can walk through here. So I got to do this thing all over. Because of that, it might be a good idea to start with just building in sandstone or something, just to you know, try out things, make sure you get everything right. But here you can see that this is working out. You know, this thing's just completely covering it, because I put it correctly this time. Another thing about a base over by the green wall is that by the green wall, you know, it's not a very you know, populated area. Not a lot of cool stuff happening over there, and this area here. Like, why the hell would anyone go up there? Well, of course, the reason why anyone would go up here is because nobody would go up here, and that makes it an attractive place for a base, you know, but generally, I think that by the green wall might be a good place. You can see that there's not enough support to put those ceilings there. But you can with the pillar here, and there's a little problem with that though, because there's that animal pen is in the way here, so it's kind of hard to put it. But you can just put it next to it, kind of, and like kind of in the same spot. Like if you find the right position, there we go, and then you will actually give support for it. So then you just put in doors and these what are they called? Foundation foundation walls, foundation fences, or something like that. They are to make the thing thicker. Like it will be 3 times as thick, so harder to get through with these things. But they don't take up that much space, so it's a kind of easy way to make things, you know, harder to get through. On top of here, I wanna just make one more layer, so that if someone happens to end up on top of here, they at least have to go through two things. I guess that's not really necessary, but you know, if they for whatever reason manage to get on top of the whole thing, then it's oh, they could have another layer. I don't know how they would do it that though, and it's kind of easy to get through the roof once you get up there, because you just have to get through two things. And let's have a nice little spike on top of there, just because. Anyways, there's absolutely no way of getting through there without having to walk through the whole thing, and it's you know, hard to get through, and it doesn't require that many materials. Well, actually, it requires a shit ton of materials, but. Well, you know, maybe it works. Who knows? We'll see. Hey, wolves. Yeah. Right here on the map, there's a tower. There's a lot of these towers, but this is one of those towers from the Giant Kings. It's a lot of space on top of here, and you'll easily be able to fit 2 animal pens on top of there. You can protect it from getting climbed on by this little circle here, and then you just put a ton of you know, fences around it. So here you can see that it fits too. So that's one. And the other one, they have to be facing each other actually in order to not take up as much space, because somehow when they face each other like that, they can kind of go into each other. So then you just put a giant ring like this around it, so people can't climb up. Of course, this is, you know, perfectly possible to raid, but you know, maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a little harder to raid than other types of bases. Your base will never be truly safe, but maybe this is safer than a lot of other things, and you can just add a bunch of extra defense under here, as much as you want, as much as you can afford, I guess. More foundations and more fences to make it harder to get through. Animal pens can also be put on top of each other. It might be smart to be using this little trick here that might come in handy, you know, to put the pillars like that, like I explained earlier, to get enough support. But then you'll have enough support, and then you just gotta make it big enough, and then you'll be able to fit the animal pen on top of there. Of course, I'm just using pillars right now, just as an example. You'd probably not want to use that to make the second floor. Right here by that bridge here is for the 5th one. To be honest, I'm not really sure if this is such a great idea, because it might be very easy to raid. I'm not really sure, but you can align so many of these animal pens right here, right? There is so much space, and it doesn't really cost that much to, you know, block the paths there, but you're gonna have to block the tower here. But this tower doesn't really have any way up to it except climbing and going through the bridge. So, you know, as you can see, there's no bridge on top of it, and inside of here there's nothing to get on top of it, so you can just cover it with a ring of blocks with fences, and people won't be able to climb up. It might be quite easy to just, you know, throw some orbs or something and by that get up, but I don't know. I thought this base idea might be interesting to at least you know, take a little look at. Anyways, you don't want to put a wall here, because then people will just be able to jump on it from that tower here. So I removed one of the animal pens so that I could fit the wall a little further away from the tower. We just gotta have a little bit of height from here, and then people won't be able to jump from on top of the tower onto this place here. So let's make a jump and see if this works out. So all you gotta do is just make sure the tower behind here is claimed, so that people won't be able to just build a tower on top of it to help them climb across. I'm not gonna finish building around this whole thing here, because I think you're already getting the point. Maybe I'll build some more interesting base on at this place at a later point, but right now I'm just gonna have a few things here just to show the general idea. These are the kind of fences that you would have around it, then people can't just climb up there. It's kind of easy to raid because you can just destroy one of them with an orb and then you can get to all of these things, but perhaps there's some ideas that would make this here possible. You could of course have a thicker layer of foundations and fences under there, but that would require twice as many resources. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope you consider subscribing to this channel and stuff like that. I'm very excited for the pet system and stuff, and have a good day.